Hello, and welcome to another edition of Just 5 Minutes in Acts. I'm Clay Brown, Associate Pastor for Equipping Ministries at Memorial Drive Presbyterian Church, Houston, Texas. And from today's passage, before I go sit on the couch and vegetate all weekend watching March Madness, we're going to look for one thought and one implication from today's passage. And by implication, I simply mean if the thought's on target, then here's what it can mean for your life and mine. And oh, by the way, if you have questions about what I say or comments you'd like to make, email me at cbrown@mdpc.org and subscribe to this channel. Click on the button below. Share this study with your friends. Now, the passage today is Acts chapter 11, verses 1 through 18. It's Peter explaining what he's done with Cornelius and the new Gentile Christians in Caesarea. He's gone to Jerusalem to report to headquarters. Now, we're not going to read all those verses. Instead, we're going to look at verses 1, 2, 3, and then skip all the way to verse 18. Let me read these from the New Living Translation. Soon the news reached the apostles and other believers in Judea that the Gentiles had received the word of God. But when Peter arrived back in Jerusalem, the Jewish believers criticized him. "You entered the home of Gentiles and even ate with them," they said. And in verses 4 through 17, Peter tells the story, and we get the response now in verse 18. When the others heard this, they stopped objecting and began praising God. All right, well, what's one thought from this passage? Our thought is simply that it's good that Peter is accountable to other Christians. Even the lead apostle needs to be accountable to somebody, and that's a marvelous pattern, a marvelous template to begin as the Christian movement begins its expansion. You know, Peter didn't have to do that. He was the number one apostle, and he could have said, I'm in charge. I don't have to report to you or you or you. I'm not accountable to anybody here. We're done. Where are we going for lunch? But no, instead, he knows he has to tell the story because there are some people back in Jerusalem upset with what's happened. In some translations, they are called those of the circumcision. It's the Jewish believers who have difficulty accepting that God is reaching out beyond the Jewish people to bring all peoples into the Christian faith. And so Peter has to tell the story, and he does in verses 4 through 17. It's a marvelous account of what happened with Cornelius and his household in the city of Caesarea. Peter sets a marvelous pattern. He sets the template. He's accountable. And we get in verse 18 that they respond with their stopping of objections and their praising of God. I don't think that would have happened if Peter had not been accountable to them, if he'd not been willing to tell the story. Even Peter, even the lead apostle, has to be accountable to somebody. And that's a good thing. That's a wonderful pattern that gets started as the Christian movement grows. All right? Well, then what's one implication of this one thought? The implication is pretty obvious, isn't it? We all need to be accountable to somebody. We all have to tell our story to somebody. I'm not talking about work-related accountability. That's sort of a given. I'm talking about accountability with the Christian faith, with how I live my faith and how you live your faith. We all have to be accountable to somebody. If it's true that everybody's got something, we're all dealing with challenges and we've got flaws and issues we're all coming to terms with and struggle with, at the same time, we all need to be accountable to someone, to talk with them, to have their support, their feedback, their counsel, their correction if needed. That's just absolutely necessary for the development of strong Christian disciples. Now, who that is, it may be your spouse, it may be a really good friend, it may be a group of people that you have become close to, that you're in a mutual accountability group. It may be a group of men, a group of women. It matters less who it is. It matters more that it is. It's got to be somebody. We're all accountable. We all are accountable to somebody. Well, I think that's enough for now. Thanks. God bless. And join me next time for Just 5 Minutes in Acts.